All right, Larry Kruger here on the Krueg Show, and with us is Brian Baldinger, one of our favorites from the NFL Network. You see him on NFL Total Access, former NFL offensive lineman, Cowboys, Colts, Bills, Eagles, played in the interior, former Duke Blue Devil, a man from Pittsburgh, PA, and now out in Jersey, and he joins us on the East Coast to talk a little 49er football in advance of the NFL draft coming up on the 25th. Baldy, good to see you, my man. How are you?
Thanks, Larry. Yeah, we missed it, the Super Bowl, but we're connecting here, so it's good to see you. Always good to talk football this time of the year, Larry. I've been on vacations. I've taken my time off. I'm refreshed and kind of just sitting here for as many hours as I can, just studying a lot of these college kids and what we're going to be talking about in around 3 weeks from now, Larry.
Your content is phenomenal. One of the things that, sometimes when you're talking with your hands and this and that, we see the mangled finger. I didn't realize that the mangled finger dates has something to do with the Manster, the great Randy White, who is maybe one of the toughest guys in the history of the NFL. Can you tell us how it, the play that it occurred on?
Yeah, the Manster, the half man, half monster. That moniker stuck for a long time, and it was valid. When I was a young player in Dallas, Larry, we trained in Thousand Oaks. We would literally invite 100. I was one of 115 free agents my rookie year, then a 15 draft pick. So it was all rookies, and our job was basically do the card drill for the veterans. So I was literally, that dummy guy that lined up in front of Randy White and gave him the look and all that stuff. And
right,
Randy didn't like rookies. And anyways, they got the tearaway jerseys on him. I'm just grabbing them and holding on like I did basically my entire rookie year. And before I really learned how to, block. And my finger got caught in his jersey and it just got ripped out. Like it just was dangling. And, I was kind of like trying to shake it off and pretend like it wasn't hurting and all that kind of stuff. And, went out for a play. They taped it all up like I did for basically the next 12 years. And it just never got fixed, never went back. And now I'm part of that bad pinky club, like just a lot of guys, have it, and it's a badge of honor now.
Exactly. I was just saying I loved your deal with Gargano and the DC from the Chiefs, who's fantastic, right after the Super Bowl, and it was such a great deal. And one of the things that my takeaway from the Super Bowl is that Brock Purdy was pressured on 40% of his dropbacks in the Super Bowl, and it really screams out that the Niners need to get serious about probably everybody right of Aaron Banks on their offensive line. Brendel's a street free agent. Feliciano's a try-hard guy who's, hanging on. He actually played well for them. At right tackle, Colton McKivitz, they like him a lot, but they're looking to upgrade. They picked 31. You've probably looked at a bunch of these tackles. There may be as many as 8 that go in round 1.
I'm with you.
They're probably looking at guys like Amarius Mims and Tyler Guyton and Jordan Morgan and the BYU kid and the Yale kid. And what do you think? I kind of like guys like further down the board, like Javon Foster from Missouri and Garrett Greenfield from South Dakota State. But what do you think? I mean, at 31, if they're looking at a tackle, is there one that you think fits them?
Well, you just mentioned 3 in Tyler Guyton and Amarius Mims and Jordan Morgan. Morgan was the left tackle at Arizona. Tyler Guyton's been the right tackle at Oklahoma. I just watched him again today because I saw my buddy Lane Johnson today, and he worked out with them like a month ago. He was back at Oklahoma doing some stuff, and he saw him in the weight room. And, this is a guy that is a freak athlete. I mean, I don't want to compare anybody to Trent, but like he's a freak athlete, and he needs strength, and he needs coaching, and he needs work. But if he's willing to do that, and they're willing to be a little patient with him, like he might become a Pro Bowl tackle. And I think he can play right side or left side because he's that kind of an athlete. Amarius Mims, like he started 8 games at Georgia. He had some injuries. Georgia rotates guys. They do it at every position. So he wasn't out there a lot. But, he's 6'8", he's 340, and he can move. He can run, he can move. Morgan is a guy that looks the part. Like he looks like a left tackle. And those guys are all going to be at the bottom because none of them are just going to be stars day one. They're just not ready for it. But if you're patient with them, and you let them grow into their bodies, and they're 21 years old. You let them get to 23, and you coach them up. You might get 3 really good players right there.
What about, I don't know how much you've deep dived on some of these interior offensive linemen.
Yeah.
You were an interior offensive lineman, so I feel like I'm talking to somebody who truly is in the know on this. The guy that really stands out to me when I look at the profile and the film, and then start reading the reports, is the West Virginia center, Zach Frazier. I mean, he's Baldy. He's smart. He's tough. In high school, he's a awesome wrestler. Wrestling as an interior lineman is a great trait or great, experience to have. He's a 3-time captain. I watch his film. He's overwhelming. He may not be as athletic as Jackson Powers and some of those other centers, but Frazier to me stands out. Could the Niners go with a center at 31 and what do you think of Frazier? Have you seen him?
Oh yeah. In fact, I texted a personnel director the first day I watched him, and I just said, "Can Zach Frazier start at center for you?" And he goes, "Right now, like April, whatever it was, March, whatever it was."
Wow.
He's our starting center. Without literally texting me back in real time, he could be our starting center. This is a good draft for centers. I mean, Jackson Powers Johnson I think he's special. I don't think he's going to get out of the top. If I was Denver, and I know they need a quarterback, but if you can't get one, just go fix the offense line. You lost Cushenberry, go fix it. Because I feel like this, Larry, I feel like if your center isn't great, your offense line is not going to be great. Philadelphia has had Jason Kelsey for 12 years, 13 years. They've been pretty much great every year. Helps that the coach has been here the whole time, and Stoutland and all that stuff. But he's been great. And you look at offensive lines that struggle, start with the center. Well, who's your center? And can he get to the second level? Does he call the defense? Does the pocket get pushed? Does he help the guards? All this stuff that center's got to work with everybody, including the quarterback. And I just feel like if your center is average or not very good, you're just not going to be good up front. You're not going to be one of the top 5 offensive lines. It has to start in the middle. So, whether you're looking at Graham Barton, who, is out of Duke, left tackle at Duke the last 2 years, who I like a lot. I think he's going to be a starting center in this league. I think that he's going to get drafted as a center. He played center at Duke his freshman year when guys got hurt. He stepped in, started the last 5-6 games. He looks like a center to me. Almost like what Miami did a couple years ago when they took Connor Williams. It was a tackle at Texas, guard at Dallas, not very good, but he went into center and he was really good. I feel like there's 3 guys right there, that you're talking about that all could be starting centers next year in this league.
You played at Duke and in the ACC, a big conference. My favorite guard in this draft is this kid Mason McCormick who's from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He wore 60 for South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, and and then we watched at the combine, right? And there's always hey, do these guys really measure up to the Michigan guys, the Ohio State guys? This guy on the carpet there in Indy kind of demonstrated that he's every bit the athlete that all of them are, and he's just a fighter. He's tough. He's a leader. He's a smart guy. Seems like O-line intelligence is really underrated. What do you think of McCormick? What round do you think he's going in?
He looks like a day 3 guy, top of the 4th round. Maybe the 3rd round. You find starters, in this business, in that 3rd, 4th round sweet spot. Nobody has been better at drafting in the 5th round across the board than the 49ers when you look at the guys that they have from the 5th round. But I feel like you could get starting guards in center in the 4th round. And I feel like that's kind of the sweet spot for him. And you look, the tape is really good. He dominated that level of competition. And that's what you have to do if you're going to come out of South Dakota State and, step into this league. You got to turn the tape on. You got to see him play one. You just got to recognize it. He's got to jump off the tape at you. And that's what he does. Now, Trevor Penning did that at Northern Iowa, but he's just not the athlete that you need. Maybe they're going to move him to guard, but he just has really struggled athletically. at New Orleans. So but Mason McCormick's he's not going to get overdrafted. Like he's going to be the end of day 2, the beginning of day 3. I feel like that's the sweet spot for him.
Is there a dominant guard that you like?
Yeah.
Mahogany or one of these guys? Is
I like
there one
Cooper
that stands
Beebe.
out? Cooper
I like
Beebe,
Cooper.
K-State. Yeah.
State. Yeah. You watch him against Texas, and you watch him against the interior of those defensive tackles at Texas. Like nothing to it. Like he stands right up next to him. Christian Haynes at UConn is a really good player. He reminds me of Nate Davis, who came out of University of Charlotte a few years ago. He's a starting guard for the Bears now. Like he wasn't very good his rookie year in Tennessee, but by the time he got to the second year, like Derrick Henry and that offensive line was rolling. And, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC. They were running it. He was a big part of it. Like he really, his power, not the biggest guy, but his power and ability to move bodies. I see that from Christian Haynes. I see the same thing. And you just watch him. He's putting guys down on the ground pretty regularly. I like both those guys right now. And, the guys in Michigan are really solid, whether it's Keegan or Minter or Zinter, like all those guys inside for Michigan are solid players.
Yeah. Keegan, I think, was the team captain. It's funny. The 49ers, Baldy, every year, it's almost like a running joke around here. We talk about corner, safety, linebacker, offensive line. They get to the first round, their pick comes up, they go D-line.
Yeah.
They you draft typically high what you value. The 49ers over multiple regimes, this going way back to Ted Washington, Dennis Brown, Michael Carter, Fagan. They value D-line play here. They draft D-linemen. So, and a lot of times it's interior guys. I got to ask you this. They moved off of Armstead. They brought in Malik Collins. They brought in the kid from Cleveland, Jordan Elliott.
Yeah.
And they brought in and the edge rusher from Buffalo, Leonard Floyd.
Yeah.
Is the Niner D-line, in your mind, better today than it was on Super Bowl Sunday, or worse with the moves they've made?
It looks about the same. I mean, because honestly, I thought Javon Hargrave was a disappointment this year.
He was.
Like I really was. I mean, he was like when free agency started. I mean, they gave him the money like 5 seconds into free agency. They wrote him a big check, and he was dominant that second year in Philadelphia. Really dominant, and I thought he would go there and do exactly what they thought Javon Kinlaw was supposed to do, which he never did. And so I thought if you put Kinlaw or Hargrave next to Bosa, I thought they were just going to run these stunts and they were going to be unstoppable. And you just didn't see it. And so they went out and got all these guys. I don't know, where Drake Jackson is in any of this at this point. Like I really liked what I saw his rookie year. I like the talent, and he hasn't shown up yet. So he's got to get healthy. He's got to get out there. But yes, I mean, what's interesting about what you said, though, Lar, is everybody that comes out of that program, whether it's Robert Saleh, whether it's D'Amico Ryans, like if you look what all those teams are doing and all the disciples of San Francisco, they're all doing the same thing. They're all just loading up on defensive linemen, and they want to be too deep, and they want to have their second team line as good as their first team line. And that clearly isn't the case in San Francisco and hasn't been. And so it won't surprise me if that's where they go at 31. And, who that might be, I don't know. Jared Verse, I don't know who's around. Like, Dallas Turner's not going to be there. But, I mean, I think there's some guys out there that you have to, consider. Braswell at Alabama. Like, I think they need more juice. That's why they went out there and, made some signings during the season thinking like that was going to be the answer. And then you showed up on Super Bowl Sunday like they couldn't affect Mahomes the way they wanted to.
The wide nine, it seems like they like guys in the 270 range, not the 240 range. There's guys like, Jonah Ellis, and there's some good-looking rushers in this draft. But, Muhammad Kamara, these guys are 250, 245. Do you think that you have to be in that 270 range to do that wide nine for Kaczmarek? Because it just seems like they'd prefer to have guys who are bigger bodied guys off the edge.
Chase, Leland, yeah. I mean, Nick,
Chase,
all those guys.
Gregory didn't kind of do it, didn't get much done.
Tried. I mean, they took a look at all these guys, and they were just, out the door. Kamara's an interesting guy. Like, I know teams that really like him. They like his suddenness. And, like, to me, if you're in a wide nine, if you look at, say, Tennessee, like they've been winning with Harold Landry out there and different guys. Like, just give me a guy that's just buzzing off the edge, and let Fred figure out the fits in the run game, and let the linebackers come and fill and do what they do. They're as good as anybody, especially if Greenlaw gets back. So those guys in Hufanga, when he's out there, like they know how to step up and fill in the run game. Give me the guys that can just get off the edge, man. Just give me that first step, quickness, suddenness. That makes quarterbacks nervous as much as anything.
If you want to know about, the big war daddies in the inside on defense, you got to ask an offensive interior lineman. So you're perfect for this one. I kind of like this. I watched that combine. I love the workout for the kid from Clemson, or Row.
Yeah.
Row.
He's number 33.
Yeah, I mean he's moving and at a crazy rate, but there's developmental thing. I mean, it's going to take some time. I love the footwork of Fisk and the motor of Fisk from Florida State, and then just watching this week some of that path to the draft on Michael Hall. Man, Michael Hall is only 6'3", 290, and wears 51, so he doesn't really look like a D tackle. But man, 4.76 at 299, and he was so productive. Which of the big body D tackles? I mean, there's one technique, guys like McKinley Jackson. There's 3 technique, 5 technique. But of the big boys inside, do any of them really stand out to you? Who's the guy that you really like?
I like Johnny Newton out of Illinois. I just think he's a difference maker. I think he's what Eric Armstead really never was. He's a good player, good person, had his role here. But Johnny Newton is going to be a handful. Like, this is your classic 3 technique inside. Like, I think he's going to be good. I think Byron Murphy's going to be good. If you want a bigger body inside, I like Darius Robinson at Missouri a lot. Like, he had a great Senior Bowl. He was very disruptive at Missouri this year. He's a good worker. Like, I think he's got some real skills right there. I mean, those guys, Devondre Sweat, I just need more pass rush. I know we can just eat double teams, and that there's a benefit to that. That doesn't really fit into the 49er scheme.
Your deal with Spags was fantastic. I told you before we got tape in here that was phenomenal. I think your thing with Gargano and Spagnuolo was as good a sit down I saw on football all year. I mean, credit to you guys. He was comfortable with you guys.
Yeah.
You reminisced. He told you good stuff. He you peeled the onion. There was a lot of great stuff there. One of the things that he really stressed was, man, they wouldn't have gotten it done without McDuffie and without Snead.
Yeah.
What do you think? Baldy, as far as the Niners? I mean, they don't need corner depth. They need that number one that can put Ambry Thomas on the bench. They got Mooney and they got Lenore, but they could really use that third guy. Lenore can play the slot. Would you, is Surtain available? Is Greg Newsome available? Would you try to get a number one corner in a trade? Or is there a guy in this draft that you think could be there at 31 or later that you think has the potential to be a one corner and add to that trio or add to that duo?
Well, I don't expect this to happen, Larry, but if you want to hope
dream big,
this Cooper DeJean is unreal.
Is he?
I know what color he is. I don't care. Like, this guy, people say, oh, he's going to be a safety. That guy is going to run this week. He's going to run the 4-4s because that's what it looks like. There's nothing he can't do on a football field. He'll be your punt returner. He'll be your nickel. He'll be your corner. He could be a Fonga and a drop down safety. Like, that guy's just a great football player, and finds the football. He's got ball skills. He looks just special to me. Like, I just think in this day, first of all, the 49ers, and one of the reasons why they made a switch, a defensive coordinator, in my mind, is they're not a very good blitzing team. They just aren't very good. Maybe they'll send Fred Warner and bring a 5th rusher, but they haven't been very creative the way Kansas City is. And you could get a lot more creative, to Spags' points, when you have guys that you feel very comfortable that can lock up. And, L'Jarius Sneed punks wide receivers. He did it to San Francisco. Now, Aiyuk got him at the end of the game. They didn't hold up front. Maybe they win the game in overtime. But, I just think when you have guys like that can just – you're comfortable just holding up on the outside, it allows you to do so much more defensively from a scheme standpoint. And so, to your point, I want at least one of those dogs on the outside. that no matter who you're going against, one of those, Puka with the Rams or, whoever, Seattle, one of those beasts out there, and that offense is going to change a lot with that new offense coordinator up there. Like, I'd feel a lot better if I could hold up on DK and still get after the quarterback.
Eagles brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's one of my favorite players. I mean, the guy's he's vicious, and him and Debo don't get along. But I saw a rumor this morning about Budda Baker maybe getting dealt, and the Niners were one of the 3 teams linked. Obviously makes a ton of cash, and they got cap issues. Cap issues aside, Baldy, what's Budda Baker got left? How do you think Budda Baker would could Budda Baker slide in at free safety? How much of a difference do you think he would make? He's 28. He's had some bumps and bruises, but we both know he's a hell of a ball player.
I nicknamed him the Cobra a couple of years ago. He loved it. Like that guy that guy's suddenness and his effort to the ball is exactly how the 49ers play.
Right.
Like, he's a perfect player for the 49ers. Just run, chase, get 10 guys to the ball. He's going to get there. His ball skills have improved a great deal. I mean, there was like the first 2 years of the league, he didn't come close to getting an interception. And it was bugging him, and people were talking about it. He can't be a Pro Bowl player. He got no interceptions. They started coming his way, started being a little bit more patient, the way you have to be, and just kind of wait for the opportunities. And when it's there, make the play. But he's a tremendous player. Him and Jalen Thompson back there in Arizona, they were a good safety tandem. Jalen got the interceptions this year. He's a great tackler. I don't think they're going to let him out. But if you could get Budda Baker, like everybody's playing 3 safeties right now, he would fit in real well with how they play. I know Jair's coming back, Tiggs coming back, and Hufanga's coming back from injury. But Budda Baker is, he's a pretty special player.
Baldy with us on the Krueg Show. A couple more before we jet. Tight end. They tried to get Cam Latu, and I don't know what happened last summer. Baldy, he couldn't catch anything in camp. He didn't look anything like the player I saw at Bama. He struggled. Braden Willis struggled. They moved on from Charlie Warner. He went to Atlanta. Dwelly is still a free agent. They're pretty naked at tight end, and they're looking for, George is now 30. Outside of Bowers, who's actually a Bay Area kid, he probably should have gone to Cal or Stanford. He's a Napa guy. Outside of Bowers, who's going top 10. Is there a tight end that you love in this draft? Because this is kind of the beauty in the eye of the beholder spot. I mean, some people like Dallin Holker, some people like Theo Johnson, Jaheim Bell. Is there somebody that stands out to you?
Yeah. I mean, the best blocking tight end in this draft, I don't think it's even close, is Tip Ryman from Illinois.
Really?
Like he's 6'5", he's 270 pounds. Like, he's a great blocker. He's fine, He ran in the 4.6s. They didn't throw to him a lot. But you just want a guy that can just block the edge. This is the best blocking tight end in this draft. And so, I've kind of cross-checked that with a couple guys that are going to make those decisions. I don't know if he's, George was a 5th-round pick, Big Ten player, grew into his body, became a dominant player. I don't predict the pass-catching ability of George Kittle after the catch, but I think you can line up in 2 tight ends, and you want to block for McCaffrey and you want to get the edges blocked. This is a guy, to me, that I think they have they've been striking gold in the 5th round, like I said. Like, this looks like a 5th or 6th round pick to me that could come in and play right away.
Yeah, and you're right. They have hit in the 5th round quite a bit. Fonga, Kittle. That's kind of their sweet spot. 2 last ones before we let you go. There's so much talk about Aiyuk. I don't know if he's going to get traded. I don't know if he isn't. They're going to have to pay their quarterback 50 times basically what they're paying him a year from now. And I think John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are trying to gear up for that. And I do believe they love Aiyuk, and I believe them when they say they want to keep him. But I think they also have a price and a pivot point where they're going to move off. Parag Marate is a very tough negotiator. Why do rookie receivers, Baldy, struggle so much more to adapt to the NFL than other positions? And do you see a receiver that, might not have the longest ramp up period? Because the Niners are in their Super Bowl window. And if they do move Aiyuk, they're going to draft a receiver. Is there something that you're looking for that says, that receiver might be able to adapt quicker than maybe somebody else?
Well, Larry, they're like a lot of the positions in college. The game is just so different in college. You're playing some of this, just 4 wide receivers. There's teams like in Oregon, they just got inside receivers, outside receivers. They're not really route runners, but there's a lot of good receivers in this draft. It's very deep. And look, Aiyuk has been awesome the last 2 years. He's their best receiver. They paid Nick Bosa, I think 5 days before the opener against Pittsburgh last year, when they finally, got him in. Like, these things can get drawn out, and they have paid every great player. They found a way to do it. Trent and fullbacks and tight ends and linebackers. They paid everybody. It's Aiyuk's turn before the quarterback. But if they don't, like, I just interviewed Ricky Pearsall from Florida today.
Yeah.
And like, this guy, he's as tough as any receiver. He's as tough as Debo. The guy is always open. The guy's he reminds me of Julian Edelman in the middle of the field. Like, he's just fearless. Like that guy's going to be a second-round pick, probably. But, there's depth deep into the second round with guys that can play. I mean, everybody wants to talk about the top 3, and that's good. They're all valid. I mean, Dunze is unbelievable. But, like, there's Ladd McConkey, there's so much depth at that position in this draft. And Pearsall just jumps off the page at me as one of those second-round picks that can come in. And I think he's going to be a good player right away.
Oh, ball skills. And, yeah, he's really, really good. All right, last one. Is there a player that you would everybody who watches football, whether you're a personnel guy or not, there's that guy that you're like, man, I'd pound the table for that guy. For me, it's Blake Corum. I mean, I just think Blake Corum is I really think he's going to be a fantastic back. And I know running backs don't get drafted high anymore, but somebody in the second or third round is going to wind up with a franchise altering, difference maker.
Larry, it would shock me if he's not a Charger. If he doesn't get reunited with Jim. Like,
maybe around 2.
Like, I know they got Gus Edwards there, but they need at least 2. Like, I just feel like he's destined. And I said that on a breakdown the other day. And in fact, the same runs that they're running at Michigan, they're going to run, with the Chargers. And it's just the way it's going to be. And so I just feel like he's the counters and the powers and all the stuff that Jim likes, lining up with 3 tight ends and, stretching the line of scrimmage to the sideline with tackles and tight ends. Like, that's coming. That's what he did right away in San Francisco. Had Kendall Hunter. They drafted his first year at Oklahoma State, and they had their star Frank right there. So to me, that's just like, I don't know if somebody's going to be in front of him, but if he's hanging around there in the second or third round with the Chargers pick, there's no way he's passing on.
I know. He's so good. Baldy, we love you. We love what you do, man. I'll say this. You look like you're having so much fun. And I love some of the stuff when you're in the pools, and sometimes you're swimming with sea turtles and doing all kinds of stuff. Are you having as much fun as you look like you're having?
I'm having more fun because I don't want to put everything out there, because I don't want people just to get annoyed. But I believe in vacations. I'm a diver. I have a house on the water in Fort Lauderdale. I'm in the water every day. Like, if I see a nurse shark, like, I just get excited. If I see a pack of, stingrays swimming by, I try to swim with them. I'm having a good time. But honestly, Larry, in the film room, I sit here by myself. Like, I've been here since 8:00 this morning. I've done 3 shows doing your podcast here, Larry. I got off the phone with the personnel director of one of the teams before I was on with you. I can sit here and watch this stuff all day. And honestly, if I'm entertaining myself, I have a pretty good feel that the people that are watching it are going to be entertained. They might not like my takes, but I'm not, like, we're in the entertainment business. If I'm sitting here and I'm an hour 6 of studying running backs, I'm going to entertain myself. And that I'm going to put that out there, just the way I kind of see it.
Well, brother, it comes screaming through the screen. And once again, your thing with Spagnuolo and Gargano was spectacular. Keep doing the awesome work. Where are you going to be on draft day? Do you have a defined role?
I'm going to be here at NFL Films on Thursday, and then getting on a plane Friday morning and doing Friday night, Saturday, Sunday out at the NFL Network in Los Angeles. So I'll be between 2 places right here, right now.
You're a bi-coastal football badass right now.
That's it.
Hey, Baldy, thanks for your time, brother. And I know you're busy. I know you're pulled and tugged in a ton of different directions. I really appreciate you jumping on, and hopefully we'll do it again in the future. Have a great rest of your evening and weekend. And thanks again for jumping on.
It's my pleasure, Larry. And thanks for having me. And I feel the same way about the work that you're doing as well, Larry. Thanks.
Appreciate you. Brian Baldinger, NFL Network. Check him out. NFL Total Access. And you've just watched the Krueg Show.